streaming app. Mas lalo pang magpapasikat ngayong 2021.
More prizes!
More Bibo Bandar!
Quiz mo ko!
Manalo ng coin sa mas pinasayang may tama ka!
Papasukin ang swerte sa pinakabagong roleta paandar na Luck Overload!
Tuloy ang pag-aaral at mamimigay ng bonggang-bonggang pagpremyo sa Betty Quiz!
Brace yourself sa mas pina-intense na Challenge Accepted! Ready na ako. Ikaw, game ka na ba?
Plus all-new original game show. More music, more prizes, more surprises. We are bringing the fun in 2021. Ang #1 all-Filipino live streaming app.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to House of Gongs.
I am Ronald Kerian, also known as Kulantronica.
And I'm Lydia Q, also known as his wife.
And you look very beautiful.
Thank you.
We are live coming to you from House of Gongs. We are in Hawaii, where we relocated from our original location in Oakland. And we're so happy to have you with us today for Gongster's Paradise, a virtual healing force.
So the theme of tonight, today, this morning is healing. I know that we all have been going through some challenging times with the pandemic, with all of the atrocities going on in our society, and I appreciate all of the gongsters that are here with us in the virtual stage who have joined us and have participated in our programming today. Your resilience and, just keeping the gongs banging is really appreciated. And I think that we all understand how much gongs or kulintang music can be very healing for all of us.
So we're changing up how we're doing things this year. We went from an in-person event in Oakland to a virtual event all around the world using the power of the internet. But what we did not change is that we are bringing you the latest and greatest in what's new and exciting in Kulintang music.
We're gonna kick it off with some of the best master artists from Cotabato City and Datupiang, and also the traditional practitioners in the mainland of the US. And then the second half of the show will be mostly the contemporary practitioners that we're all friends with.
This would not be possible without the help from our sponsors, and we'd like to give a special thank you to Kumu, which is the all Filipino streaming platform. Kumusta to everyone that is logged in on Kumu. Good morning if you're in the Philippines. We are also supported by baybayin.com, Culture Aid, putting the genius in indigenous, and Divine Creative Studio.
House of Gongs is also fiscally sponsored by the Intersection of the Arts in San Francisco. And we also appreciate all our partners. So, for all of you who are viewing right now, you are receiving an email tomorrow with a special discount code with our favorite Philippine X businesses, including Bayani Art, Studio Sari Sari, Kingdom, Daily Malong, Vinta Gallery, and Ginto Seeds.
Want to give a special hello to everyone that's in our live Zoom audience. Thank you so much for your support. Being in the Zoom audience gives you direct access to our artists who might be in the chat room right now. So feel free to get ready to get into the chat room because we're going to have some prompts for you. And if you still would like to join the Zoom audience, you can still go over to houseofgongs.com/donate and get access to the Zoom. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or Kumu, we are so happy to have you joining, and we hope that we inspire you to become a supporter of Kulintang music and donate to us.
Yeah. So if you're
However
happy
you
with
can.
this programming and you want to support us and keeping it going, please go to houseofgongs.com/donate, and we'd be more than happy to accept any amount so we can keep on cultivating this audience, creating more artists, or I don't know, training more artists with the use of Kulintang music. And then also it'll also help us keep our research going back to Mindanao and spend some time with our friends over there.
All right, with those things out of the way, we're going to get into the programming. But first, we would like to do a land acknowledgement. We typically start these events with an acknowledgement of the land. And since we're virtual, we're going to try to acknowledge every land that all of you are viewing from right now. So please get ready to enter into the chat the name of the place from where you are viewing. Right now, we are broadcasting to you from the island of Oahu in the lands known as Hawaii, now part of the United States. And we just relocated here, as I said earlier, from Oakland, California, which is also known as Huichin by the Ohlone language. So please enter into the chat now the name of the place from where you are viewing, and we're so happy to have you. We hope that every place that is named feels the blessing and returns those blessings, because these are the lands that we dwell on.
Without further ado, we would like to start this program with a blessing from Mr. Faisal Monal. Sir Faisal is a Maguindanaoan master artist. He's a dancer, a chanter, traditional musician, and also a shaman. So a lot of people on the Zoom room right now, you guys have experienced, being around Sir Faisal, and we understand how it could be really, nourishing to be around him, especially when he does his blessings. So without further ado,
welcome to Gongster's Paradise, a virtual healing force.
Sampad salamang kuso atalo apang katanaku maginda na usa taman dan ako kabuntalana tarang na sura agya boyaan. Intang biduli ko kudidi. Sultana Basidon Bayala biad zimayun. Ragia muda manguda piteran dalimbangin. Intang biduli ko kudidi. Intang biduli ko kudidi. Intang biduli ko kudidi. Intang biduli ko kudidi. Intang biduli ko kudidi.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Wow.
Wow. So the last video that you guys just saw, for the most of the performers in this Zoom room, um, they are the ripples of Mr. Danny Danongan Kalanduyan. And we're really honored to be able to find this video with the help of Susie Ibarra and Joel Kizon. And yeah, we're really happy that we were able to include Master K in our programming today.
He is, always like to say, the godfather of North American kulintang. And it was one of his dreams to start a community of kulintang players and fans in North America. And the more that we watch and listen and attend these events, the more that dream becomes a reality. And it was quite an experience to see him performing live here in our event. It was also quite a treat to see you dancing.
Speaking of which, I would like to call on my fellow dancer who will help us host for today.
Please welcome to the stage Miss Jay Tioseco.
Yay! So Jay also is a big help for us because she's working for our fiscal sponsor. um, but yeah, Jay, why don't you let's get started by introducing our next performer.
First of all, greetings world. Gandang araw po. Aloha kako. Thanks for joining us virtually as we celebrate gong music of the Philippines, particularly from the southern Philippines. Next up, we have the Pacaragian Kulintang Ensemble of San Diego, California, headed by Dr. Bernard Ellerin. Hey, Boom.
Hi, Boom.
um,
Kayo, nandun.
so yeah, what is Bernard doing? with his
Well,
group?
one thing that I respect about PKE, as they want to call themselves, is that they present traditional Kulintang music and dances at a very respectful, and they try to keep as much integrity with the traditional practices as much as they can. And I think that's really important because we want a good balance of traditional practitioners, and then also we want a good balance of people who are trying to include Kulintang music in their body of work, right?
Right. I mean, in order for you to create, you need to know foundation.
True.
Right.
Yeah. And for all of you who are interested, Dr. Bernard Ellerin is actually teaching Kulintang, so hit him up if you feel like learning Kulintang.
Southern California, you have a great resource in your hands.
Cool. So yeah, without further ado, here's Pacaragian Kulintang Ensemble.
Salam and mabuhay, I'm Kim Kalanduyan, the principal Kulintang musician of the Pacaragian Kulintang Ensemble of Southern California. For this year's Gongsters, we honor the legacies of Maguindanao master artists. Each performance piece is of sentimental value to myself and the rest of PKE. Pandala is a lively processional dance of flags taught to us by master artist Faisal Manal. Eric Abutin will play Binalag Amamayog on the Kutiapi as taught to him by master Kutiapi artist and my great-uncle Karatuan Kalanduyan. And lastly, we have Siniyat Atagongo, which is a healing ritual piece to fit this year's theme of healing, as taught to our ensemble by the late master Kulintang musician and my grandfather, Danungan Kalanduyan.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, thank you. Welcome back. And that was really amazing. We just watched the Datupiang Kulintang Ensemble. Prior to that was the Pakarigian Kulintang Ensemble. It is so great to see that uh, such a high level of Kulintang music is something that's still practiced on a day-to-day basis and something that we can see. That was not a historical video or something from a museum piece. That is exclusive content produced by for this show just in the last few days. Um, what was your reaction to that, Miss J?
Well, there was it reminds me of the classes that I actually took with Master Kalinduyan before he had passed. I took a Kulintang class at Skyline College under the Kababayan program, then now the Kababayan Learning Center, Learning Community. So it was very nostalgic to hear the agongs, the babandil. In fact, you're the TA for the class.
I, I was an assistant, and you were a very good student, if I do recall.
Oh, bless you. I only know how to play the agong. Oh, and this just in. I had just learned that one of the artists of the Datupiang Kulintang Ensemble, Mr. Farid, is a relative of Master Kalinduya. So that is great that it's still practiced within the family, and the tradition still lives on.
Yeah, in Datupiang they have that style of kulintang playing that Master K made popular in America, and later in the show we're going to hear the other style closer to the bay of Cotabato, so that we can hear that other sound. And now we'd like to introduce another group that is performing at the same high level. What can we say about PDC?
Wow, the talented Parangal Dance Company of San Francisco. You guys might have seen them at Mary Monarch a few years ago. They do international tours. Their programming is amazing. They really push for indigenous dances that is just very close to what you would see in the communities, with just that slight adaptation for stage. You know what I mean? There's a good balance there. So shout out to Eric Solano of Parangal, San Francisco. Kimberly Request is here's jumping up and down. Number one cheerleader. Um, so yeah, let's I guess let's get in to see what Parangal is going to present today.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ay, maptabiyapain, sikite mananin, kasi teka langanin, adistup karamani, ni meluk islami, numuk islami, milime. Biniwajib sikite, para bang ilang tibang tigalang taduse, sa sukubang sa Islam. Ay!
we go to main stage, please? Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. That was quite a performance. I think we're all a little blown away.
That was hot.
Let's gather ourselves. And I would like now to ask everyone in our Zoom live audience to enter any questions that you have for our artists into the Q&A box on the Zoom window. Remember, it is a very special treat to have these master artists here. So let's please refrain from asking any questions that can be found on Google or Wikipedia. We want to really honor their time and attendance. And so let's look for those personal questions that only they themselves can answer.
Yeah. Before we start our Q&A, I just would like to acknowledge the last group that performed. So you guys, if there is a super band for Kulintang Ensembles, it's the Maggie Moro Master Artists. Ron and I have had the honor and the pleasure to be able to meet them and learn from them. And they're amazing musicians. Their style is very different from Dato Piang. So Dato Piang is Taga Laya, which is upstream, and then the style of Magimora master artists are taga Ilod. So that's Sir Faisal, who you've seen bless us earlier at the beginning of the program, and then Sir Sata, Shao, or Mr. Ahmad Shao, and Teng Emba.
That is what Kulintang music sounds like and looks like when you live and breathe Kulintang music every day, and when you live in the heart of Kulintang country in Cotabato City. And now we would like to invite all of our artists to turn artists from the first half. We're
Yeah,
at the
so
halfway
Sir
point now.
Faisal, Sata, Sir Teng, and then Shao. And then we also would like to call on Pakaraguyan, Kulintang Ensemble, Datupiang Kulintang Ensemble, Parangal, and Magimoro Master Artist.
Now, while we are letting the artists join us through the virtual stage, I do want to tell everyone that it has started raining really hard here where we are in Hawaii. And when we look out the window, we see blue skies. So for some reason, it's just raining right here, right where we are.
The force is strong, y'all.
The fourth is with us.
So do we have everybody on screen?
Looks like people are still joining us. And we want to see those questions from those of you in our Zoom audience. And if you are viewing on Facebook or Twitch or Kumu and you like what you are seeing, please hop on over to houseofgongs.com/donate. Show your support for Kulintang Music so we can continue doing this program and give this music and these artists the spotlight that they deserve.
And we also would like to thank some of our sponsors and partners: Kumu, BuyBuyin.com, Culturade, the genius in indigenous, Divine Creative Studio. House of Gongs is fiscally sponsored by Intersection for the Arts, Bayani Art, Studio Sari Sari, Kingdom, Daily Malong, Vinta Gallery, and Ginto Seeds.
And thank you all so much for your support. And members of our live Zoom audience will be getting a gift from our apparel sponsors shortly. Are we ready for the Q&A? I can see some members of Parangal
Dance
are ready.
is on.
So the power of the internet is making this possible. And we thank you so much for joining. And we will be having our Q&A shortly. Do we have our first question ready? Please enter any questions that you have into the Q&A box.
Okay. Um, what's the first question, Kim? Do you have any question?
Me?
Does everyone in an ensemble know how to play all the instruments? I think you can answer this.
Well, let's have one of our artists answer it.
Um, Sir Fi, do you want to answer that?
Anyone from the first half would like to speak on whether or not members of Kulintang Ensemble are trained to play all the instruments? Spoiler alert. The answer is yes. Dr. Boom, can you speak on that?
Yes, I mean, if you're trained, in context, living in the Maguindanao tradition, you learn it through osmosis, watching your elders perform for weddings, festive occasions, and healing rituals. Well, here in the United States, living in the Filipino American diaspora, for those who were raised by Guru Danny with his high standards, yes, you have to be proficient in all of the ensemble instruments. And it takes practice. It takes practice mastering the material, and then at the same time, get exposed to native practitioners or master artists in the field. So I'd like to give a shout out to the Kalanduyan family as well as the Magi master artists who are all my teachers. And so I've learned a lot from them, and I've humbled myself to know that I'm a novice when it comes to going to Mindanao, and I've only learned enough, and I'm still a lifelong learner regardless of my position as the music director of Samahan or the artistic director of PKE. But yes, to answer your question, when you have formal training or if you learn, as a native Maguindanao or someone from one of the Muslim societies, yes, you do learn. And usually it's inherited from your family musicians. I don't know if that answers your question or it's a long winded answer. Kim, you want to say something?
Thank you, Bernard.
Sure. I gonna say yes also. I feel like switching and knowing every instrument is essential to the whole ensemble. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kim. I'd like to ask a question from one of the artists from Cotabato. Uh, what is it? What is it like for you to see artists coming from America? How does our Kulintang music sound to you?
Sir Fi, do you want to answer that question?
Well, perhaps it's a reflection of the music here in Cotabato, of course, in Mindanao. That's what in my mind. So it's a reflection from us. So just ano is the raw is here, and the siblings is there. So that's how I feel.
Thank you, Sir Faisal. Madam Farid, I have a
Yes, hello
question for.
everyone. Yes. Yes.
So, what? How do you feel about the evolution of Kulintang music with how it has been now, and now that it's reaching the different stages all over the world? How does that make you feel?
Well, I feel very proud and honored that there are still people willing enough to learn and bring awareness to the cultures that are not their own. So I am very much happy that you, Lydia, Ron, and the rest of the Master Danny's student are still loving and doing traditional Kulintang music. So yeah, I am very much happy and proud of all of you.
Thank you so much, Farid. We have a question for Parangal Dance. Um, so there are many traditional practitioners in North America. In California alone, there's like a bunch of groups, right? So how do you keep the integrity of your practice, and what sets you apart from the other traditional practitioners that we can find in the US?
Part of our practice is like our post the other day about of unlearning and learning and unlearning. So, and we're able to do that through the cultural bearers and masters, just like the ones we have here, most especially Sir Faisal Munal, who's given us guidance since 2005, and amongst the other over 30 indigenous cultural masters that we have learned from. So that's how we pretty much keep the integrity of the dances, but also going back to what Jay said earlier with adaptation for stage. And we are still able to get past that because we have a process where we do the research, we create, we send over the videos to cultural masters to Sir Faisal, whether it's a song, chant, music, just like the project we're doing now with ACTA for the Sagayan archiving. So all of those information, things that we create, always go to the cultural masters first before we publish them. But of course, there's always things that we can improve. But because of the work that we do, we don't just focus necessarily on one indigenous community. For example, we don't just focus on Maguindanao. So we usually focus on, for example, maybe 10 in a given year, depending on the research that we have done, or depending on the tour we're doing, or depending on the show that we are about to produce. So having the masters trust, guidance, feedback, most especially, and having them part of the process all the way from beginning to end is how we keep the integrity of the pieces. And of course, when we get the feedback, we're always learning and improving. So then there's an iteration of the videos and until that product or the work is done for the until we publish them for our show.
American-based groups, and yeah, this question is for the American-based groups. We have a question from one of our live Zoom audience members who wants to ask, how do you give back to indigenous communities whose cultures you are taking inspiration from? So can we hear from both groups on how you maintain relationships with indigenous culture bearers and indigenous communities back home?
Supporting their industry is one. So, if they have foundries of Kulintang instruments, if, they're, selling textiles, and at the same time, learning from them, since we want to keep the traditions alive in Mindanao, just support them. Go back and do field research, and then actually take time to learn. And then also, build that transnational relationship with them is how I support the master artists or the craftsmen who are artists all over Mindanao and the Sulu archipelago, is to support their industry, whether it be through textiles, instrument making, or learning directly from their cultural dances, and then having them speak for themselves at Zoom workshops or presentations.
For Parangal, there are several ways that we give back to our cultural masters. The first one is if we have project like, for example, like the ACTA one, there's always a funding or budget set aside for the culture bearers. So that's like our projects. When we do performances, we always send a percentage, usually 10% of the income from this. If we do Magindanaoan dances 10 times and we get paid 10 times. So whatever that money is, the amount is 10% of that is given back to the cultural masters. And we have so many, so it depends what we're doing. So that's one. The other is passing on the legacy of our culture bearers. So passing on their teaching to those that are interested. And also so that way the teaching that they share with us is not just staying within our company while also developing the artists, but also going to those that are interested. So we actually have a Sagayan group, a collective group, for example. We are not a dance company. We are not. We don't gather to perform, but we gather to train. So that way, and also with Farsail's guidance, so that way there are practitioners of Sagayan, for example, at different parts of the world. Just like what the awesome thing you're doing with Gongsters in the Kalintang, we have a version of it for the Sagayan. So that's just some of the ways that we give back. And going back to what Dr. Bernard said, supporting, everything that they sell, whether it's just for the dance company or other dance company. Right now, we're mentoring groups in Australia. They're on right now, for example, and they're interested in learning dances, purchasing cost attires, so anything. Kolintang. So, and then we connect those that are interested directly to the culture bearers, or I serve as a middleman until they're connected for what they need.
We're going to do one more question. Thank you so much, Eric. We're going to do one more question for Maggie Morrow artists. Thank you so much for those questions about American styling and multidisciplinary musicians. For those questions, we'd like to ask the people who ask those to hang on for Act 2 of this show. And for the Maggie Morrow artists, we have a great question. What do you want people in the diaspora, people in America to know about your music and art?
Sir Fi, do you want to answer that question?
Do we still have Maggie Morrow's on?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, we have a question directed to your group. What do you want Filipinos who do not live in the Philippines, or Filipinos in general, what do you want people who do not know about your music and culture, what do you want them to know?
Well, uh, I want to encourage each and everyone, Filipinos, like Filipinos abroad or Filipinos in the motherland, that they have to appreciate this culture, because this is the Filipino culture. It's not only for the Maguindanaons, it's for the whole as Filipino culture. So this is our heritage, and we are proud of it. And for those who do not have understanding about this culture, maybe they have to explore and see us, this beautiful culture that we're very proud. And of course, the ano kasi dito is the individual has its love for its root, especially for Filipino, then they will appreciate this kind of culture that we have as Filipino.
Thank you so much, Sir Faisal. That ends our Q&A for the first half. We can accommodate more of your questions on at the end of the second half.
Yeah, we have one more question and answer portion after the second half. And so we're going to move into the second half with this transitionary segment that's going to show how the power of Kulintang can heal in unexpected ways. One is through the power of words, and one is through the power of the vote. So our next artist is a Filipino-American composer who has composed for some of the most exciting projects, of the last couple of years.
If you guys have heard of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's The Rock, and also Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And he has also composed tracks from The Mandalorian in 2020. Can you believe that? We have a Gongster who does that.
So we're talking about Mr. Nathan David, and we have a video that he produced for Move On. He scored for Move On last year. And if you want to know how powerful Kulintang can be, just take a look at the change in leadership we had here in the States. And we hope for viewers in the Philippines, this inspires you to take your vote to the polls. And after Nathan, we have something really special.
Yeah, so Conrad Benedicto is a teacher and my Kulintang teacher among like maybe 5 of them. He was born in the Philippines and immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 13. He studied from Master Danny Calanduyan, and what is amazing about him is that he wrote a book about Kulintang. It's the very first fantasy novel inspired by Kulintang music.
So we are now transitioning from the traditional to something very different. And you are watching Gongster's Paradise, a virtual healing force.
If you want to know what we are multitudes the world over, millions everywhere. Our numbers increase as the wide world revolves and increases arrogance, hunger, disease, and death. We are the men and women searching in the pages of history for the lost word, the key to the mystery of living peace. If you want to know what we are the sufferers who suffer for natural love of human, for human who commemorate the humanities of every man. We are the toilers who toil to make the starved earth a place of abundance. If you want to know what we are, who grow powerful and deathless in countless counterparts, each part pregnant with hope, each hope supreme, each supremacy classless, each classlessness nourished by unlimited splendor of comradeship. If you want to know what we are the vision and the star, the quietest of pain. We are the terminals of inquisition, the hiatuses of a new crusade. We are the subterranean subways of suffering. We are the will of dignities. We are the living testament of a flowering race. If you want to know what we are the new thoughts and the new foundations. We are the new hope, new joy. We are the living dream of dead men and women everywhere. If you want to know what we are, 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 we are revolution.
Something is wrong in the world. Something is wrong. An empire has overtaken the lands of sovereign people, run by men who take without permission. For 1,000 years, they have bled this earth for their riches and their power. Our lives are nothing. What of the world that once sang for no man, but simply to find out what it could be? Now, even dead things answer to their beck and call. Let us strike the first blow that makes Perdite crumble. the kingdom of these reaving men must fall. Here is where we turn them back. Let our stand on this one last piece of sovereign earth be the beginning of a new age, an age where even kings cannot take without asking, and no man or woman may wield the world's pulse without its consent. I am the word of this land, your home, but you must now be the voice for this vast yet teeming world. Speak for it tonight with your mettle and your courage. Be the voice that says at last to these corsaires, enough! You cannot have without asking. You cannot take without permission. I am finished living in a world that is ruled by them. I am no longer content just to live free. A world unbound is what I choose to fight for now. If I should die tonight, then so be it. But if I should live, if you, my sisters and brothers, should live, then let the corsaires beware, for I will not wait for them to come to me again.
The Last Word from the Sky, an excerpt from Musalai's Gift by Conrad Benedicto. Long before Tadhana and Liwayway, before Silalak and Wigan, before Musalaya and the coming of the Corsair Lords, Kaptan, who was the word of the sky, bestowed a gift to the people and went away. The traditions speak of a firmament that separates this world from the heavens. Perhaps he crossed that boundary, but Lukat know of no border between earth and sky. They believe that Kaptan is still up there, and on some evenings they see him, streaking from star to star. Perhaps one day he will return to Agmana, but no one knows. Amal Karandang, the last Lukat who ever saw Kaptan, did not think to ask. And the Biana, the peculiar crocodile, who had amicably stalked the old musician and then accompanied him all the way to Kitang Lahad, well, she was more concerned with how the sky god might taste than where he was going or if he was ever coming back. Amal Karandang was the greatest, most famous musician in the 7,000 islands of Agmana, which nurtured throngs of flutists, lutists, drummers, singers, and kulintang players. Amal was the best. Some even say that he was quite a dancer, but he was not the greatest dancer. That distinction, which is of equal importance, after all, music and dance are in Lukat blood, belongs to someone else and to another story. This story begins on Amal's 80th year, while the old man was watching Maya birds peck greedily at his fallow field. Slumped on his wooden bench underneath the big aratilis tree, he thought it might be time to retire. How many times did one need to play in the golden hall of Sulaiman to the north, or in the grand marble staircase of Ramblon, the shimmering beacon at the heart of the 7,000 islands? Did he need to play kulintang on the prow of the handsome cutter, leading the brightly festooned armada that traveled down the Maraduga River for the annual fluvial parade yet again, after 42 straight years? No, he thought. The next time some escort clad in bright silks came calling to request his presence at another Maharlika wedding or naming ceremony, he would say no. What kind of farmer left his field untended half the year while gallivanting around the islands like some sort of celebrity anyway? He was old, and all he wanted now was to simply watch things grow. This was the moment one of the brown Maya birds chose to leave the buffet on his field and flutter noisily into Amal's shoulder. Amal saw the little brown speck dart up and away from the frenetic flock and shoot straight for him, wings whizzing. The song it sang into his ear was quite unbelievable. Amal grew more incredulous at each new chirp and twitter. None other than Kaptan, the word of the sky, humbly requested his presence at Kitang Lahad, the hanging stage overlooking the lush steppes of Tayara. There, in exchange for a solo concert, Kaptan would entrust to Amal a gift he had gathered for the Lukat people. Now, it may seem strange that Amal could understand the Maya bird, but those were the olden days when all Lukat, no matter what region, tribe, or island, could decipher the Maya bird's songs. Maya birds flew all about the archipelago, singing about everything they saw and heard in their travels. The birds, of course, did not distinguish between mundane and weighty happenings. Listening to a brown bird singing on the windowsill, one was more likely to hear news from faraway islands of epic rice husking and the great beating of laundry by the river than of battles or deeds of greatness. But still, Maya birds knit the islands together with their songs. There's a saying that behind every marriage, dispute, enterprise, friendship, and opportunity are the tidings sung by some Maya bird. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that Maya birds gave the Lukat their sense of self. How else could the inhabitants of 7,000 separate islands have seen themselves as one? It was out of the ordinary, however, for a Maya bird to sing a specific song to a specific person. They usually twittered as they pleased about whatever seemed pleasurable to tweet, without any regard for the significance of their songs to whoever happened to be listening, unless it was another Maya bird. As it turned out, this particular bird had been approached by Kaptan as it flew over the Ilaya on its way to Daranglahi the day before. The sky god, who was the friend and companion of all birds, had asked it to deliver an invitation to Amal Karandang, quote, acclaimed virtuoso, and quote, unparalleled genius, to play amidst the clouds on the hanging platform atop the Magtanggol Mountains, Kitang Lahad, the only ground upon which Kaptan had ever alighted. Impossible to say no to that. When the word of the sky calls you, quote, acclaimed virtuoso and unparalleled genius, and asks you to play for him at Kitang Lahad, well, you've just been offered a gig so legendary, your name would be remembered for as long as Lukat people existed. Amal really was just a simple farmer at heart. He could have lived splendidly as the royal musician for one of the three kingdoms, but he never wanted luxury or riches. But this made him feel like he was 16 again, on his way to the annual Kulintang contest at Pagdiriwang, dreaming of how word would spread throughout the islands of his incredible hands, rhythmic audacity, after he thoroughly dominated the competition. This will be my rousing ending, he thought.
Na-cancel ang meeting? Kumustahin mo? Kumu is a live streaming app para sa mga Pinoy by Pinoys. Pwede makipag-connect, makipagkaibigan, at kumita kahit saan. Download for free on iTunes and Play Store. Inip sa bahay? Kumustahin mo? Kumu is a live streaming app para sa mga Pinoy by Pinoys. Pwede makipag-connect, makipagkaibigan, at kumita kahit saan. Download for free on iTunes and Play Store.
Hello, everyone. That was the extension of the Magimoro master artist from Cotabato. So Sir Faisal was telling us a story that when they were trying to film the four of them, kulintang is a very, community-based instrument, and everybody started showing up, and then they wanted to jam. So we ended up having a little extra from the master artist. So on that video, you saw Magid Lindongan and Bapa Ketul Buwayan, and they're both very well traveled. They've traveled France, India, and Malaysia playing kulintang music. So that was our halftime show, and I would like to introduce our next performer. So Ginto Seeds with Diane and Nicanor Evangelista. So these two, they're known for their how'd you call that again? The sun thing. Sunburnt art, and they're multimedia artists inspired by Cali, Batok, and Baybayin. So Ginto Seeds has something really special. You'll see Diane waving over there. But before we go on to their set, so this production is not possible without the people behind the scenes. So obviously you see me, Jay, Kim, and Ron on camera, but we also have some people behind the scenes who are helping us with all of these tech from all over the place. So locally, we have Lalaine Ignao and Eric Ganding, who is local here to Hawaii, and they're operating the other 3 computers that we have. We also have Alex, who is in the East Coast at the moment, and Darren, who is in San Francisco. He's currently at the intersection for the arts office trying to figure out, and he's the one responsible, mirroring our Zoom event right now to Twitch. And also Christian Kabuwai is here helping us out with Kumu. Where are you, Christian? Can you go on cam, please? There you go. Hi, Christian. So yeah, these are the people who are responsible for all of this. So if you are on the chat, give them a shout out. So without further ado, we'll have Ginto Seeds.
first time I saw you, it was by the water, and I fell in love. The second time I saw you, it was under the moon, and I loved you more. The third time I saw you, you were far away, and I was leaving. And when I close my eyes, you are all I want to see.
you be the one? You know it. You are the one, you are the only one. You know it. Going beyond the stars. Being the swan I love. Love you are the one. You can be the one. Be the one. Oh yeah. It can feel so good. Feel so good. Oh, oh. It can feel so good. Could you be the one? You can be the light. Be alive. Oh yeah. If you choose to be. Like you used to be. Oh yeah. Could you be the one? You know it. You are the one, you are the only one. You know it. Going beyond the stars. Being the swan I love. Love you are the one. Back and forth, follow me. Ooh. Hear the bass from the back room. It's playing on my nightly weakness and setting me free. Banging chains, designer bags. Ooh. Holograms, counterfeit rules. I see it on the streets I witness. So let's move to the beat. I hear it on repeat, I see it on the news. Is it the love or is it the pain that I went through? Oh na 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 yeah. I'm spellbound now yeah. Ooh, oh na 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 yeah. Ooh, I'm spellbound now yeah. Couldn't cope, hit the smoke. Ooh, a tragedy bomb, tragedy gone. Looking for the light in the darkness. Well, I gotta believe. Counting stars, I read them all. Ooh, a million, a billion views. If I'm to blame, this ain't no secret. So let's move to the beat. I see it on the streets, I gotta get my dues. Or is it the pain, or is it the love that I can't lose? Just want to give a big shout out to Gongster's Paradise. Everyone from Hawaii to Philippines, California, Canada. My love's with you. Hope you are safe. Hope you are staying positive. This is a healing force. I appreciate you. We are ala una. We love you. My love is sound. Stories are free. Call you up. My love is free. Pass it around. 'Cause love is free. Pass it down. 'Cause stories are free. Pass it round. 'Cause love is free. Pass it round. 'Cause love is free. Pass it round. 'Cause stories are free. Pass it round. 'Cause love is free. Yeah.
That was hot.
And we're back.
We're back. So raise your hands on the Zoom if you felt dancing among those last three performances.
Well, I physically did.
Well, I
mean,
think the three of us did.
Needless to say, no.
Got Kim on stage trying to fan us over here
Ang
because it's
init.
really hot. Yeah, so that was Ala Una, formerly known as Datu.
And before that was us.
Just kidding.
Char. But that was Mr. Ron Kirian, aka Papa Gongs.
aka Kulintronica. Yeah, so Ala Una and Kulintronica are a couple of those artists that has been joining us at Gongster's Paradise in the last 3 years. So they're kind of like, the main, the regulars. The good thing about that and the most exciting thing about that is that when they come in, they always have new works. So it's really exciting.
And it's been amazing to see the, I don't want to be dramatic and say like evolution, pero like that's what it is.
I know. I mean, culture evolves, music evolves. So, so we are.
Period.
And period. And okay, so we're gonna change it up a little bit. Our next performer is a Philippine ex-composer, percussionist, and sound artist. So she's gonna bring us in a quite immersive experience. She's from New York, and she also had an opportunity to have kind of like a, a face-to-face and a relationship with Master K at one point in her music career.
And that's the snippet of Master Kalinduan's performance, right?
Yeah, if you remember when Master K appeared at the beginning of the show, Susie Ibarra produced that along with her friend Joel Kizon. So yeah, without further ado, Susie Ibarra.
Hello? Can you hear me? So, mabuhay at magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Wow, I've been enjoying the act so far, but I was told that I will try to keep this short. Maraming salamat muli sa mga organizers for having me to this year's Gongster's Paradise. So for this one, I'll be presenting two videos. Okay, the first is a collaboration with Paulo Garcia, also known as Parallel Uno. He's a DJ and producer, and shout out to you, PG, in case you're seeing this. Hello, and thank you for doing this with me. PG is the son of the late Dennis Garcia of Hot Dog Band, and Mr. Dennis Garcia passed away last year, so his son is basically, really awesome guy, and he tries to live his legacy of doing tributes and releasing an album to honor him and all of that. And lately, ako pala si Tusa Montes, and my research interest has been lately on Kolintang music in pop culture, and in particular in film, how the use, the representation, and the visual and oral presence of Kolintang in film throughout Philippine cinema history. And the earliest film that survives to this day is Brides of Sulu. It's a 1931 film, but there's a lot of mystery surrounding that film. People say it's an American B-movie film, but there has been like great analysis, and film archivists are arguing that it's Filipino made, because the perspective is Filipino. We don't really have time to dwell on that, but long story short, the film is the only surviving Filipino silent film in the 1930s. If you watch the original, there's an American narration, and the script is rather like prejudiced and all of that. So what we're gonna try to do here is strip off, remove the script. But unfortunately, with COVID restrictions, one of the things that I used to do in a gig, if this weren't a pandemic, PG would invite musicians, to just jam, project images on the screen, like an old film or whatever, and we just do improv jamming there. And unfortunately, we are on quarantine now and we can't meet. So we're just gonna show you a film that PG produced and edited. And it's an amalgamation of DNB, funk, and jungle, okay, in the key of gong, in his words. And this is really a short film that, according to the narration, is what you call the dance of death. And the reason I chose this is because, you know, the kulintang that you see in that clip is rather obscure. But for me, you know, my first encounter with the kulintang is, you know, through TV, through media. And I think these are the kinds of things that matter. And I think that should really be put in the forefront in Philippine pop culture history. So that's the first film. And the second one is with my acoustic fusion group, Anahata, and shout out also to them. This is a cover of a Beatles song featuring Chelly San Luis on vocals and cello, and Dominique Robledo on guitar. And this is our little offering. And whenever I play with these guys, you know, for me, there always is a healing effect. And I think this has always been what it's all about. And I really hope you enjoy this one. Thank you very much.
rocking horse people eat marshmallow pies. Everyone smiles as they drift past the flowers and grow so incredibly high.
Arian,
We're back.
we're back.
Again.
Hello. Well, that was really awesome. So the performance before that is Miss Tusa Montez. She is a percussionist, ethnomusicologist, and educator who specializes in music of the Philippines, Asia, West Africa, and Latin America. She's also performed with, recording artists in various projects, such with, both international and national artists.
And after Tusa was autonomous region of the San Francisco Bay Area. Um, they had both uh, classical tradition standards, and then they fused parang jazz, no? Like there was a contemporary part to
Very
it.
cool jazz, which what they're
Yes.
known for. The three of us had an opportunity to do some performances, some stuff in iHotel where they all reside. Autonomous region does, and
The historic iHotel
yes, and
there in
I
Chinatown.
yeah, I also had an honor to teach Tagalog there once in a while. So yeah, that was autonomous region. So we're down to the last two acts, and we're really excited to introduce the last two performers.
Wow. To na. So, well, I think we should also acknowledge our
Yeah,
sponsors.
so we're gonna wrap this up pretty soon. We have two performers, and then we're gonna have another Q&A. This time we're gonna call in the contemporary artists from the second half. But we would like to thank our partners and our sponsors who made this event possible: Kumu by Bayan.com, Culture Aid, The Genius in Indigenous, Divine Creative Studio. House of Gongs, who produced this event, is fiscally sponsored by the Intersection for the Arts. And we also have some partners. So, for all of you who went on Zoom today and registered on Eventbrite, you are receiving special codes and discount codes and special virtual goodie bags from our partners Bayani Art, Studio Sari Sari, Kingdom, Daily Malong, Vinta Gallery, and Ginto Seeds.
Wow, galing.
I know. And if you want to keep this Gongsters Paradise show going in the next decade, hopefully we're able to curate more artists, younger generation, and this becomes like an inspiration for more musicians around. Please donate at houseofgongs.com/donate.
Because a best nation is a donation.
Period.
Also, shout out to the how many people on Kumu right now?
1,300.
1,300 ba?
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, shout out to the lady beside us who's fanning us right now because it's really hot.
Super Enet. It's like we're in the Philippines.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'd like to introduce our last two performers. Pantayo is an all-women kulintang ensemble based in Toronto. They have
Yes.
combined percussive metallophones and drums from kulintang traditions of southern Philippines with electronic and synth-based grooves.
Awesome.
I've been a long time fan of them, and I think the last Gongsters, the timing just didn't work out.
But also, shout out to Toronto. Toronto has amazing artists.
Hey.
Real talk, right?
Yeah. And then after Pantayo, so when I was still living in Manila, this is one of my favorite artists, Bayang Barrios, and I really respect her a lot. When she performs, she brings in, a good fuse of contemporary music, and then at
Mhm.
the same time, she's a manobo. She's an indigenous Manobo woman. She's performed and has gained prominence as a member of Joey Ayala at ang Bagong Lumad band. I know
Wow.
a lot of Philams are big fans of, that band before. And she uses her music to promote indigenous people's rights along with their favorite themes of peace and environmental awareness.
Is she based in Manila?
Yes, she is.
Bongga.
I think she lives in Quezon City.
Okay.
But yeah, I've had a few opportunities to break bread with Bayang, and she's a really amazing person.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, this is Pantayo and Bayang Barrios.
Enjoy.
Hello. Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Kat. I'm with Pantayo. And here on the chat and in this room, we also have Katrina, Michelle, Irene, and Joe. And we are a mix of people who were born in the islands now known as the Philippines and in Canada. And we acknowledge that our families are not from Mindanao or any Kulintang Plain peoples. Our flavor of Kulintang is informed by our experiences as diasporic people, and Kulintang is our means to express ourselves artistically. There is great privilege for us to be able to learn from another culture and benefit from it. Our Kulintang journey has been non-linear. We wanted to create a safe space for working class, non-academic queer women to learn Kulintang first. Thanks to the internet, we learned with each other first before having access to teachers. We invite people who are interested in learning about Kulintang to reach out to us and any of the performers in this festival and to continue learning about the rich and diverse tradition that is ever evolving and we know as Kulintang. I was also told to tell everybody that we like bubble tea, and that is kind of like our official drink. And so the next videos that you will see here, it was filmed at a COVID safe environment when we all bubbled together. We're from Toronto and right now we're on lockdown. So we bubbled together in Prince Edward County, which is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe people. And we thank the land and the waters for giving us inspiration when we filmed our performance. So the video was shot by Trisha Hagariles, and we'd like to say a special thanks to George, who owns the place. Yeah, so please enjoy.
One, two, and.
love is divine. I breathe it in my soul. I know we ain't got much time, much time, much time. Our love is divine. I see the distant stars igniting bright lights on fire, on fire, on fire. I dream of eternity. Come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Our love is divine. There were many stars before, they're never aligned. To have this time with you, my life I'll sacrifice. Our love will find a way. Our love will find a way.
Bathala magbabaya, Panginoon. Our prayers. Bathala, likha ninyo ang bawat bagay sa mundo. Lubang kayo manggitlunti ang bukirin, alat ng dagat at tamis ng hangin. Bathala, ang bawat bagay na nagmula sa inyong palad ay may tungkulin sa mundong kinagisnan. Sa pagtupad nito ang lahat ay tinitimbang. Ang tao inyong hinugis at pinaahon sa lupa, pinagkalooban ng talino at diwa, upang mundo'y ipagyaman. Talino, naging ararong nagpaamo sa parang, naging kumpit na sumagupa sa karagatan, naging apoy na lalang kung susuyuin lang mula sa kalikasan. Subalit, buhay dalisay ay di sapat sa iilan. Sila'y nasilaw sa kinang ng kasakiman. Ganid na Diyos ang sinamba. Pinaghahati-hatian po nila ang lupa, karagatan at himpapawid, ngayoy may bakod na. Kapwa tao't hayop may inaagawan ng tahanan. Walang nakaliligtas sa kanilang karahasan. Kaunlaran at kabutihan daw ang kanilang sadya. Subalit ang lumilitaw ay isang panggagahasa. Ako'y hinugis niyo't pinaahon sa lupa. Ang aking buhay ay dito nagmula, at dito rin inaalay. Bathala, bigyang lakas itong niniyutan lupa upang umiral sa mapagsamantala. Panalangin ko'y inyong dinggin, Hari nawa. Good evening, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat, or magandang araw, good morning, good day sa inyong lahat, kasi nasa US tayo at saka buong mundo ngayon. Kasama ko po ang naliyagan, ang aking mga musiko, si Julian nasa bass, si Andrew nasa gitara, si Bodets nandun sa tumbol, at of course, ang kulintang, si Jape. Ako po si Bayang Barrios, sana po masiyahan kayo sa aming alay sa inyo ngayon. Napakaganda na itong proyekto na ito. Maraming salamat at kami po ay naimbitahan ninyo. Go! Biyaya! 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 Kalibutan akong tukuyan, lupa ay pagyamanin, higan sa kinayahan. panahon, trip ng ayaw ang kini, nagbigay karangyaan, trip ng ayaw ang kini, nakilala na ng tanan. Ha! Tribong ayaw ang kinin, nagiging gabay ko. Tribong malapit nang maglahoy, hinahanap ko. Kahit tinakwil ko kayo noon, kasama ko pa rin kayo ngayon. Hey! Ay, oto, ay, iyahan, katribo ko, kainakamon. Ay, oto, ay, iyahan, katribo ko, buhi pa ba kamo? Buhi pa ba kamo? Buhi pa ba kamo? Buhi pa ba kamo? Katribo ko, 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 buhi pa ba kamo? Katribo ko.
Hello.
Wow. We're about to wrap up this event, and I'm kind of sad.
But after that set from Bayang Barrios and Pantayo, I am very elated as well.
I'm very energized after that, too. Y'all, if you see that live,
I think we just did.
well, in person. Anyway, before we move on to our Q&A, we just want to have like we just want to do a shout out to our Kumu viewers. We have 1,500 viewers on Kumu, you all.
Thank you so much for watching us on Kumu.
Yeah, and we would like to thank our sponsors and partners again: Kumu by Bayan.com, Culture A, the genius in indigenous, Divine Creative Studio, and House of Gongs is fiscally sponsored by the Intersection for the Arts.
And our apparel sponsors, Bayani Art, Kingdom, Daily Malong, Vinta Gallery, and Ginto Seeds. Special thank you also to Studio Sari Sari from Winnipeg, who provided this wonderful depiction of what a gongster's paradise would look like. And we also want to thank Mr. Ukulele for contributing the ukulele tracks that you heard at the introduction of the show.
Yeah, during the opening crawl. So we did a test run of that on Facebook Live a few weeks ago. And then, yeah, we decided to record it and put a kulitang stem on it and use it for our opening crawl.
Now we'd like to invite all the artists from the second half for the final question and answer period. And we're going to jump right in with a question from Mr. Ukulele himself. I guess I will be the one to read the question. Curious to know how many artists are also trained in other musical forms and if there's any crossover within those forms.
Anyone want to answer that?
Everyone's being modest now. Mr. Conrad, Miss Kat.
Okay, I could say something. Well, I think for for being trained in other musical forms, um, trained is a loose term that we use. Um, we acknowledge that training can come from formal and informal sources, much like Kulintang is both, community based and can be learned from teachers. Um, for us as a band in Pantayo, we call ourselves, or we describe our music as like lo-fi R&B gong punk. So that's kind of like the other influences that we bring into our flavor of Kulintang music. And that's because there's 5 of us in the group, and um, those are the different inspirations that we draw from. So, yeah.
Thank you, Kat. We have a question from Daphne. Daphne says, I love to learn about some of the symbolism in the video, first in second half.
It's Ginto seeds. Can someone from Ginto seeds talk about the symbolism
Yeah.
that
Nicanor
is part
and
of the
Deanne, are you
assembly
guys
of that
there?
one?
Hello.
Nicanor.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Farid, Ramesh Balgos, and June Tiangco for creating the Anyo at Halad album, where the inspiration came from, the song Anyaya. About the symbolism, definitely, if you see, there's a lot. It's like collected in there, and it's basically the idea of we're wondering what it'd be like, when you do your offering, pag nag-aalay, what would it be like in that fantasy, in the world, in a dream world. So you can see a lot of baybayin, and like, I definitely encourage you to, once we release the video to the public, you can pause it so you can actually see the symbolism. And yeah, if you have more questions, just like, we can just talk about that for a while. And if you have a specific symbol that you want to ask, definitely let us know.
Yeah, you
Go
can
for that.
follow them on Instagram at Ginto Seeds, and Nicanor and Deanne are pretty responsive with their messaging. So if you have like other follow-up questions for them, please feel free to do so.
Our next question is from Mr. Armand on the East Coast. Are there any characteristics of Kulintang music or dance today that are distinctly American or diasporic? Can I ask someone from autonomous region to speak on this question?
Hi, this is Caroline from the Autonomous Region. And I guess what I'd like to do is I'd like to go back to the first question to answer this question as well. I am formally trained in Western music, in jazz. Actually, I was first and foremost a jazz musician before I started studying Kulintang music with the Nongan Kalanduyan for 20 years, actually. And the reason why I feel that there's a natural fusion between the two musics is because jazz is essentially improvisatory music. And in many ways, so is Kulintang and Kalinga music, which is also what I study as well. But it's improvisatory within a set of rules. It isn't just like you're just going willy-nilly wild. You're actually, there are melodies that were established and revered for generations, and they have been extended and customized and recreated over the generations. And I like to see it as it's very similar to how jazz melodies are. Almost all jazz melodies were originally pop songs, and they became improvisatory songs. So changed, as a matter of fact, that you might think that they're completely new songs. If you listen to Sinulog o Kamamatuan played by maybe 10 different people and all the variations. It's still the same song, but it's actually so different, has been developed so uniquely that you almost think they're different songs, even though we all know they are Sinulog o Kamamatuan. Same thing with jazz songs. I'm in the mood for love. The journey that it took to become Moody's Mood, where you almost feel like those are two separate songs, is that same kind of journey. That it's like it started off with a melody, each generation came in and added and interpreted that melody, and even had space to create solos, or to do variations in how individual players played. It was so much a part of what jazz is. And as I was studying Kulintang, it also was a lot of what Kulintang was. So there are rules you are being creative within a vessel. And so in that sense, the two art forms of, and even, when I think about it, even the Kalinga, music, it's the same thing too, within a vessel, a protocol that is understood and expected and respected by the culture. An individual can also have unique expression. And that's also a very American thing, because the one art form that is uniquely our art form as American Filipinos is jazz. And when people ask me, are you a Kulintang musician? I actually, I'm not a part of the evolution of Kulintang music or even Kalinga music. That is for the culture bearers of Kalinga forever. Is, as Bernard said, I will forever be a humble student, even though I continue to study every year and I go back home. But I'm not from the village, so I'm always a humble student. But what I am, though, is I'm a born American, and it is my right to actually claim the music of my birthright, which is actually jazz. So if that hopefully answers that question, that's what I had to say about that. Thank you.
Caroline.
The next question is for Sir Farid, if you're still on. What do you wish was more widespread in the practice of Filipinos abroad? Farid? We might have lost Farid to the winds of the internet. Is there anyone in Cotabato that might be able to answer this question? What do you wish was more widespread in the practice of Filipinos abroad?
How about Sir Faisal? Sir Faisal, are you able to?
Let's move on to.
Yeah, maybe we can move on to the next. The next question is for Conrad. So, Conrad, we heard that you've been writing the novel since you were in college, which seems to be serendipitous. Do you feel that there was a higher power guiding you through this process? And what do you wish the novel to achieve?
Oh, wow. Thank you for the question. I'm not sure about a higher power. I do know that when I started writing the book, that I couldn't finish it. It was Kulintang inspired because I heard Kulintang for the first time in college at UC Santa Cruz, and it was one of Danny's students playing the music, and it lit me on fire, and it gave me this idea for a book. But I quickly realized that I couldn't write that book because I didn't know enough to actually write a book that was inspired by this music. And so I had to drop it for 20 years. And I had to learn the music first, and the various, cosmologies associated with the music before I felt like I could pick up the book again and finish it. And it was a friend of mine actually who said, you know, pick it up again, finish it now. And when she said that, I felt after learning Kulintang from Danny Kalanduyan for 2 decades, I felt like, oh, maybe I can do this now, and I finally finished it. And what do I want it to achieve? I think I would like it to be a window to introduce people to the world of Kulintang, but also the world of Philippine mythology, um, uh, indigenous resistance, anti-colonialism, all of the things that we've been trying to keep alive, and all the things that we've been trying to hold on to and make new. So I'll stop there. I don't want to talk too much.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Next question is for Miss Susie Ibarra. As direct descendants of Danny Kalinduyan's music, what do you feel responsible for around using Kulintang in your work?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm not a direct descendant, and I think we have some family here who are direct descendants. I'm, a musician who was very fortunate to have had Danny and his brothers as mentors and teachers, and had a wonderful experience to be able to produce this film that we discussed for a while to do together with Joel Kizon. And I think not just in my music, but also in all of us here, which is so wonderful. What Lydia and Ron have done today to bring us together is, the lineage of not just Danongan Kalanduyan and their family, but also of the masters here and our elders who have carried this on. It is very important to hold that close, to appreciate that. And I think that expression comes through in each one of the artists, and how it goes out into the world. It is very valuable, very important, and such an important voice to Philippine music and culture. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Uh, the Manila-based artists, for Bayang and Tusa, as Manila-based artists, how is your music received by the local audience? Do you get any specific reaction with the inclusion of Kulintang music into your repertoire?
Well, uh, I've always been a fan of Mambayan's music, so I think whenever she performs, people are always captivated with the fusion and how she incorporates these things. I've always been a fan. From with my experience, like the Beatles cover that we do, whenever we perform it, there's always like a reaction, like a happy reaction. People just realize, oh, we didn't know that's possible. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that that happen in a gig. Like they see like the possibilities that of the kulintang, its sound, and you can, how it's so versatile. That pretty much that's it.
Yeah. Bayang, are you there?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So the question is, how is
We've
your
been
music
performing,
received
and
by the
wait,
local
I've been
audience in
performing
Manila?
with
And
Joey
do you get
Ayala.
any specific reaction
Yes,
with the inclusion of Kulintang music into your repertoire?
I've been performing with Joey Ayala
since years ago. And yes, we did that mix of indigenous instruments. So para siyang natural na daloy lang para sa amin. Sa akin, actually nag-i-experiment pa rin hanggang ngayon. Nag-i-experiment ng kahit iba't ibang tunog, kung ano ang makukuha na instruments galing sa iba't ibang communities ng mga katribo. At ang dala nito sa audience ay minsan weird, minsan like pag makita yung kubing before the song, introduction ng song, nagtatanong lalo na ang mga kabataan, ano yan? Parang you have to introduce first kung ano yung instrument na yon. Kailangan lang talagang masanay. Kailangan masanay ang audience para malaman nila na ito yung galing sa atin mismo, yung tunog na to. At later on, parang natural na rin na na-accept nila na yun yung tunog. Saya. Kagaya nito ngayon, nakita ko yung iba't ibang klase ng mga tunog ng mga artists, kapwa artists, at nabibigyan ako ng bagong energy. Maraming salamat.
Salamat
Ang
po,
kulintang
Bayan.
parang ano siya yung kulintang. Ang kulintang parang
One more question for the crew in Toronto, a la una. It's a two-sided question. Can you share a little bit with us your process on the transformation from Datu to a la una? And can you share a few words on kulintang as a healing force from your perspective in Toronto?
Where's Alex? Do you want to answer this one?
Sure. Yeah, you started.
Okay, I'll start. Well, we started as Datu for a while to almost kind of to assume kind of a leadership type role in the community, because when we started there was no Kulintang fusion, there was no integration of Filipino music in modern music. So we try to embody a little bit of a leadership position, and it eventually didn't sit well with us after a certain point, whether it's just kind of like, you know, within the diaspora wars that was happening. Also in answering this moment of change and upheaval, there was a need for us to kind of reinvent ourselves and to start all over again. And so a la una, we wanted to just start fresh. Also, just to speak to the why Kulintang for us, you know, it was something that resonated about jazz, and the vessel of jazz and our birthright in claiming, you know, musical forms from North America. You know, Alex can talk about having gone to Mindanao with Master Danny and learning from him. But when I grew up, a lot of the communities in the diaspora, to connect with their culture, it was through Filipino folk dance. And so I learned the kulintang because it was the backdrop, it was the background music to the singkil or to dances. And so for us, you know, moving into dance music, it felt like a bit like, for me, speaking on behalf of myself, it just felt like a natural thing for kulintang to remain kind of the backbone to dances. And when we changed out of the name Datu, we wanted to reset, and we came out with a 9-song meditation album because we felt Datu was really when as Datu we wanted to burn things down. The stuff was a lot of it was edgier, and a lot of it was kind of like we just wanted to push against the normal North American sounds. And so in transitioning to Alauna, we wanted to reset it, and so we made sure that we used singing gongs, kulintang, Saranai, Agong, and we made a meditation album just to reset it, because we wanted to put a healing energy out there because our world went into upheaval. But before that, we were just trying to push up against, the white music and the Canadian institutions as Datu, and we were a little bit ruckusy. But then we want to make sure that in our resetting to Alauna, we wanted to really focus on healing and spreading light and returning to that type of thing.
And just to add on that, going to Mindanao, it was kind of tough at first, going around telling people what your name is, and you're telling people your name is Datu. And especially you're meeting real Datus and learning more about how important it is to preserve. So the big question was, how do we preserve a tradition? And then how do we move forward? So Alauna was definitely the renewal, but also as what Bernard has said and other people have said, as part of the culture, I think it is important to uplift the community, all the people that have helped us. So a lot of the transition within the 6 months when we're still Datu into Alauna, we've donated a lot of our funds back to Danny's family, and also to Boli with the School of Living Traditions, because those are our community that we've learned, and we have to always continue that process. And I think Alauna for us, with the rest of our groups, like with Dai and Candice and G, we think that this is also part of how we think music, art, spiritual, and community should work. So for us, this is how we're moving forward with Alauna.
Thank you so much, Alauna. That wraps up our evening, morning, lunchtime, whatever time it is, anywhere in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I know we always run long because we just love the music.
Well, there's a lot that we want to share, and one of the things that makes us feel like this is all working is that today we were not even able to present everyone that's doing new works with Kulintang Music. So follow us at House of the Gongs. Follow all the artists that you saw today so that you can keep up with what's going on. If you have more follow-up questions, reach out and we'll meet you with those answers. And with that, we thank you. We wish you safety and health. And thank you so much. This is Gongster's Paradise, a virtual healing force.
May the gongs be with you all the time. Salamat po.
Woo!
Congrats, y'all. Oh.
Congratulations, Mama. Dada.
We were watching Gongster
Can we have the artist stay for a couple minutes?
on this platform we call Zoom.
Congrats, Lydia and Ron, and the whole team. Well done.
Congrats, Lydia and Ron. Doing everything from Mindanao. I know.
Okay.
We're just waiting for the attendees to leave, and then.
Oh.
I just wanted to like have a quick powwow with everybody, and I think the Maguindanao artists, they want to do a quick family photo with everyone.
The Muggy artists want to do a quick family photo with us.
Yes.
Can we like?
Is that Romeo?
No, it's Bernard.
It's Bernard.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my God.
It's still showing on Facebook.
All right, everyone is gone. Or should I say everyone is gong?
Yeah, nice, good job, Darren. We have to remove the thing on Twitch because I think it was still on Twitch when Bernard was.
Yeah, they.
There you go. Oh my God.
It is our obligation to preserve the culture. Let's do it.
I know. Thank you so much, guys. I think some of the artists already left, but can we take a quick photo? Just
Of course, intercourse. Let's go.
Yep. If everyone,
and then I'm gonna have my entire crew locally to join us on stage to do the photo with all of you.
This video off.
Hang on a second. Okay, let's do it.
Photo.
Do not come. You're joining the picture. Okay, Alex, ready? Wait, you guys are.
we are still waiting for Tusa, and we're still waiting for the Magui master artists to get in place. All right, Tusa, we are just waiting for you, it looks like.
Sige, kolakan tayo. Compress. Dito sa Zoom.
All right, it does not look like Tusa can hear us. I don't know if she knows what's going on.
Alex, can we just take whoever's
Yep, I'm going to stop her video. And all right, here we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. One more for good measure. All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great
All
job,
right.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. See you in Cotabato.
See you in Hello, Sata. Hello, Dave.
Hello,
Hello, everybody scream. I know.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Say Tita Fry stuff.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kaka.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Kaka Farid. Kaka Faisal. Ingat po kayo. Bye-bye.
Yes po, ingat po kayo.
Ingat
kayo. Ingat din.
Kumusta, Kakateng? Long time no
Yes
see.
po. Palabog na Teng.
Oy.
Haba na ng
Kumusta kayo dyan?
puting.
Yes.
Haba na ng
engineer.
Kakang rockstar.
Oo nga. Lagi siyang rockstar sa Magi Art.
That is
modern. Si Sata, suot niya yung t-shirt ko.
Modern era noon.
Always.
Gongsters.
Ito ang baby namin ni Ronaldo. Oh, Luna, say
Remember
hi.
how I forgot my Gongster shirt in your apartment? You still have it?
Print tayo t-shirt uli. Yung bagong version ng Gongster.
Gongsters, kailangan nandito na kayo.
Gongster Paradise. Hello, Faisal. Where's my Magin? Hello, Par. Gusto mo pakato? Hello, Pai. Where's my pakato?
Pero sama, pero